There's a
no ነክቼ ነው 0 ይሄን ነክቼ አያ
ምንም ባንዲካ ገና
WhatsApp ላይ ቦይ
ምን አይነት ልጅ ነው
ኤሎን
ምን አይነት
ምን አባታ
ቡና ጨዋታ ቤተሰቦች
ምን አይነት ሪዛልት እየመጣች
ላይክ
አትጆሮ
ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ ተባበሩን ዘንድ ጠይቃችኋለን
ስልክ
አሁን ወደ ነሱ
እሺ
ጆሮን ጸጉር ሲገባ ሰባ ያስበው ወይ ያስባ ቴክ
ምሮ ይዘን የመጣ ነው
these nuts አናቆም ቻናሉን ስሙን የት ግን the title is the Simpsons conspiracy ምንድነው እንዴት ነው the Simpsons like predict ያደርጉት all of these things ነው እሱን explain ሊያደርግልን ነው I hope you guys
እንግዲህ የውጭ ቪዲዮዎች ይዘን መምጣት ጀምረናል ለዚህ
ይሄ ለየት ያለ ነው
for our diaspora brothers and sisters you know
ይሄም ጀለስ የመጀመሪያ ቪዲዮ ነው go like his video subscribe አድርጉለት ምናምን ያው በለቹ ነው ሰማቸው like share subscribe አድርጉ
የትራምፕ ነው የትራምፕ was very weird ፕራይቬሲም ላይ ሜንሽን ያደርጋል ትራምፕ ፕሬዚዳንት ሲሆን like even the basically ሲወጣ ምናምን like and I was
ከአረብ ሊጎች ውስጥ ጋስ የሆነ ነገር
ሲናኩ ምናምን Simpsons is ትንሽ ሰስ ነገር አለ ትንሽ
explanation እናደርጋለን
እንግባሽ
ያው ከኤክስፕላኔሽኑ በፊት የሆነ ነገር ላይ ሰሞት በጣም ኤጁኬትድ ናቸው ጸሐፊዎቹ
probably yes
እና የሆነ ያቁታል
ግን የድሮ ሲምፕሰንስ ነው
ብዙ ጊዜ ፕሬዲክሽን እኮ ያለው የድሮ ሲምፕሰንስ
exactly because የዛኔ በቃ ሲምፕሰንስ ፒኮ ላይ
ስተትም ከሆነ እኮ የሆነ ያ
የምታወራው ነገር በሙሉ is going to be explained
we move
like share subscribe
there's a conspiracy that's so intricate that it's gained a cult following. I've heard of it and so have you, but it's getting out of hand. 9 months ago a post appeared on Reddit. It asks the question, does the Simpsons predict the future? From predicting
ምን ያሉቻችሁ Reddit የሚጠቀም ሰው እስኪ ማወቅ ፈልጋለሁ Reddit የሚጠቀም ከሆነ ኮሜንት አድርጉልኝ I want to know
the 2020 election of Donald Trump to Lady Gaga's Super Bowl halftime show, the question in this post has been asked many times. Something really bothered me about this post, with 0 upvotes. The responses to the latter half. It was a catastrophic flood of deranged theories, responses based around the idea of a new world order, explaining that The Simpsons is the vessel used by the ruling elite to tell us what's coming. And it wasn't just this thread. The dialogue is everywhere. The show's creator is a Freemason, Jeffrey Epstein, September 11th. These theories are endless, but they still leave the question open. The predictions. How are they doing it?
You've probably heard the conspiracy theory.
You can't predict that shit. የሆኑ ሁለት ሰዎች አነበሩ ነበሮች አንበሶች ምናምን ትሬን የሚያደርጉ ከዛ ቤታቸው ውስጥ ፈታ ያለ ያረጋል they predicted that shit on the show before it happened like
ደግሞ አይነታቸው ምናምን ይሄ
the white tiger
ጀርመኒ ነገር ናቸው ብሎንድ
they're really famous like ድሮ ቢቢሲ ላይ ምናምን ዜና ይታዩ ነበር ኢቨን ሲጎዱ
better black community BBC
no it's British born Christians
that the Simpsons can predict everything about the future.
Who are the world's greatest accurate predictions?
Predicted the future.
Some of these predictions are clearly surface level. Others are alarmingly sophisticated. So for the past 4 months,
even the Higgs boson and calculation, they got it almost
what?
Right. Yes, and it was even before the hydrogen collider ከመደረጉ በፊት it's like how could you do a mathematical equation that right
that
to predict በዛ ሆነ ጊዜ ውስጥ is so weird በሆነ 5 አመት ልዩነት ነው በ4 አመት ልዩነት ነገር
so for the past 4 months we've been searching for an answer, one that will finally satisfy us. We listened to common theories and we had assumptions of our own. We went the extra mile, collecting data that we couldn't find on the internet, hiring statisticians and interviewing experts. At times it felt ridiculous. But when we ran the numbers, one explanation stood above the rest.
So everyone is wrong.
One that was left out of the mainstream narrative almost entirely. This video was meant to be a counterbalance to the flood of derangement, but it turned out to be the kind of thing that makes you stop, look at yourself in the mirror, and say, "Holy shit." This is a story about the undeniable humor of our reality and how the human brain interprets the world around us.
What is the mind? Is it just a system of impulses, or is it something tangible?
So I think this is the type of shit they used to do የዛን ጊዜ now እንዴት
Trash.
like run down እንደሆነ trash is just an understatement.
Like, it's like when you're that successful, just keep it going.
34th season now? 35th even? Still watching.
What is
I
mine?
still watch.
No matter.
Like family
What is
seasons,
matter?
American.
Never mind.
You know, I've owned this mic for years, and this is my first time using it. Fuck. That opening was pretty dramatic. I'm sorry, but I had to. For real, this story's super interesting. I want to show you. For years, even the mainstream news has been asking how, and they seem to have come up with the most simple explanation. So that's where we started.
The Simpsons predicted part
The
1.
Simpsons predicting the future.
Their explanation is based off a quote from an assistant math professor.
Assistant math professor at the University of Albany.
Here's how the logic goes. The Simpsons is one of the longest running shows of all time.
In 29 seasons, 120.
That means 30, 31, 32, 33. Wow, 34th.
20,000 jokes. 8.54 jokes per minute.
They say it's just a numbers game.
This only comes out to about a 1.6% success rate. The chalk's too big.
They compare it to Star Trek, which has had a similar number of episodes.
Star Trek comprises over 760 episodes of television and 13 feature films.
Star Trek has also predicted the future.
Wait a second. What other television show has over 700 episodes?
So these shows have just had more opportunity to be right.
With that many predictions?
Not like that. Not like that. Predict ማድረግ የሚችሉ not so
like የሆነ impossible የሆነ trick shot like 1 ሚሊዮን ጊዜ ብትሞክረው
there is a chance
3-4 ደጋግመ የማድረግ ቻንስ ከፍ ያለ ነው በሚለው አይዲያ ነው። እስኪ let's see.
Beautiful math.
They essentially just got lucky.
They argue that there's nothing special about The Simpsons predicting the future because other shows have done it too. It's luck. I was disappointed
He's
too.
right. Star Trek did a lot.
Until we took a closer look.
The imagery
The theory rests on this
Star
foundation
Trek
alone.
like they did the TV silk.
No, ይሄ ፊውቸርን ይሄ ምን አሁን ለምሳሌ የትራምፕ ስፔሲፊካሊ the elevator የሆነ ኢሜጂንግ ኤግዛክትሊ አይደንቲካል
ስለሆነ ፊውቸር አይነት ነገር ተነስቶ የሆነ ፒዛው የሚተልቅ ምናምን ከሆነ
could be possible yes
ቴክኖሎጂ ነው። እሱ ግን የሚለው ለምሳሌ የሆነ UFC ላይ የሆነኛውን እንዲህ ይመታዋል ብሎ ኤግዛክት ነገር happen ሲያደርግ ነው which is creepy. በኤስካሌተር ሲወርድ ምናምን ያለው ነገር አሁን
very weird. በቃ ኢሜጁ it's identical እና like chance የሚለው ነገር ያው again they're not magicians I know again just let's see.
The two shows have a similar number of episodes and they have a similar number of accurate predictions. But that's not true.
You know the difference? Jesus fucking Christ.
I know. It's
more than the episodes.
Simpsons have had more predictions come true than other shows. Like by a lot. The answer really feels like it's missing something. Like it's
and hayanya ko is and hayanya is prediction ማለት እኮ ነው
ከዚህ
8 ሳቦራ and hayanya ማይን ከዛ በታች
Jesus
በጣም
half of the explanation.
Transporter room energized.
And look at this. Star Trek predicted shit like flip phones,
Prepare to beam Scotty on board.
flat screen TVs.
Grid 7 pawn takes rook.
They're really easy to dismiss as coincidence, luck, whatever you want to call it. From Star Trek, it's all of them. And The Simpsons, they have some of these too. Video calls, autocorrect. The coincidence explanation makes sense here. These shallow predictions don't merit screaming headlines. Nobody's talking about them. Certainly not Reddit. They don't make it to the conspiracy boards. Those boards are focused on things that are more elaborate and intricate, alarmingly sophisticated predictions. The reason that the it's a numbers game narrative feels like only half of the truth is because it is. The mainstream theory is answering a question that no one is asking.
Scientists believe they are getting closer to proving the existence of the Higgs boson, the hypothetical subatomic particle thought to supply mass to the matter that makes up our universe. An experiment is to resume Wednesday at the Large Hadron Collider near Geneva, designed to catch a glimpse of the so-called God particle.
In 2012, scientists at CERN discovered the missing God particle, a previously unknown building block of our universe, today known as the Higgs boson.
It fundamentally changes our understanding of the universe.
It is a massive discovery for quantum physics.
There's nothing else like the Higgs in nature. This is a completely new kind of object.
Scientists believe that without the Higgs, there would be no gravity and no universe.
15 years earlier, in the 1998 episode, Homer wrote this equation on the blackboard. To viewers, it meant nothing. It was absolute jargon.
At that stage, so this is a long time ago, nobody knew the mass of the Higgs boson. Nobody even knew if it existed.
The equation predicted the mass of the missing God particle so precisely that he was only this far off.
This breakthrough in understanding the origins of mass
15 whole years before it was discovered.
It's crazy.
አብራችሁ
አብራችሁ ነው በቃ
What? This scene is by far the most specific prediction The Simpsons has made, to a shocking level of accuracy. The question we're asking, the question that's been asked for 30 years, the answer to this whole video, it must be buried in this one scene.
The first equation on the board is an attempt to estimate the mass of the Higgs boson. And as a particle physicist, that resonated with me.
Maybe one explanation ሊሆን የሚችለው like maybe theoretically already እየተሰራበት የነበረ maybe ጥናት maybe study maybe the guy research የሚሰራ የነበረ so maybe እንዳልከው ስማርት ስለሆኑና like ያ ነገር ላይ engaged ስለሆኑ maybe ከዛ መተው maybe ሊሰራ ይችላል ላይሰራ ይችላል በሚለው maybe that could be one
part of the writer ካልሆኑ በስተቀር ይከብዳል። ገባህ? አሁን አንተ imagine የሆነ አዲስ ግኝት ዝም ብለህ ራይተር ስለሆንክ ይለቀቅልሃል ማለት አይደለም። ኮምፒቲሽን አለ። የሆነ አንዳንድ ፔፐሮች ዝም ብሎ አይወጡም። ገባ? የሆነ ራሺያም ሊሆን ይችላል ማይፈልጉት ነገር እንዳይደርስ ኢነር ሰርክል ውስጥ ያለ ሰው መሆን አለበት ይሄንን ኢንፎርሜሽን ለማወቅ። ሊዛርድ
It's the lizard people, man.
We're gonna do the math. Bitch.
Are you serious?
Fuck. I made my friend Mia watch 100 episodes of The Simpsons, randomly picked from all seasons. I couldn't get over it.
It's not like the government is listening to everybody's conversation.
Edward Snowden's NSA spying scandal. They made the prediction 5 years before it even came true. Trump's presidency, 17 years.
We've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
Disney buys Fox, 19 years. Statue of David censorship, 26 years. Okay, it's not a deep state plot. And it's not by chance. The show's executive producer, Al Jean, says that they're somehow predicting these intentionally.
Emmy award-winning producer, writer, has worked on The Simpsons since the start in 1989.
One overwhelming factor that determines the content of the show is that we were produced a year in advance, like the clip I just showed. We're actually amateur futurologists.
How the fuck are they doing that?
Nice answer.
Okay, I've got all the numbers. I counted every time the show had a joke or had a plot device that had the potential to come true.
Mia's discoveries were worthy of reshaping how I perceive the word prediction. Up until now, I've been seeing this whole spectrum as predictions. But it's really not fair to say that this is the same as this.
No.
Is it a he-him spectrum?
$9. This one's on me.
There was one crazy cell where Bart held up a brochure that is New York on $9 a day. The World Trade Center. This was 1996. It was in the background, so it looked like 9/11. That was insane. And of course, I'm playing. It was a terrible coincidence. That was out.
ይሄ አይነት ነገሮች አንዳንዴ የሆነ ታጠጋጋዋለህ። አሁን የሆነ ቢጊ ዘፈን ላይ blow up like the world trade ይላል።
ኦኬ
እና ምን ሼ ነው ምናምን ማለት ግራ
ጨመረበት።
ትሬድ ሴንተር ነው ግን
it's a thing የሚባል ነገር
ከዘፈኑ በፊት የሆነ ቦታ ላይ ፈንድቶ ነበረ። ወርልድ ትሬድ ሴንተር የሆነ ትንሽዬ ፈንዳ ገባህ? ለዚህ ሆነ አንዳንዴ ሪች ካረክ
ትደርሳለህ
ታመጣዋለህ ነው ዝም ብለህ።
The show's current executive producer and former showrunner. Conspiracy theorists online claim that this is proof that the deep state masterminds behind the show knew of 9/11 5 years in advance. The episode is completely absent of anything to do with the attack. It's a magazine with the New York skyline. That's a coincidence.
According to the internet, there's 43 predictions that The Simpsons got right. But I think 13 of them are coincidences. hypothesis. Looking at the other 30 predictions with a degree of like 95% confidence and a p-score around like 0.11, I think it's clear that...
She said a bunch of other shit that totally went above my head. It made me realize that we needed to get a real professional involved. This other part of the spectrum, with 30 examples unexplained by coincidence. What does it mean? I reached out to a statistician on Fiverr, but they turned out to be a bot impersonating a crypto influencer. But luckily, Mia knew a real professional, so here's what they said.
Nice.
They were rolling on both lines. Okay, go for it.
Predicting the future is notoriously difficult, so the fact that The Simpsons has managed to do it 30 times could be seen as statistically significant. And compared to other shows like Star Trek, Futurama, South Park, The Simpsons does stand out.
Holy shit.
So everyone is wrong. How?
Nice.
My name's Simon Singh. I live in London, and gosh, I suppose for 15, 20 years I've been writing books about mathematics and physics.
Simon wrote a book about The Simpsons too, but he's being humble here. He's a theoretical and particle physicist. He contributed to other discoveries at CERN where the Higgs boson was discovered. If there's one person that has the answer, it's him.
When you have such a long-running show that covers so many different topics, there are bound to be things that turn out to be true in due course.
Part of getting it right is luck, but the big ones, the ones that are impossible to explain by coincidence, the ones that spark up conspiracies on Reddit, those are not predictions at all.
So I got in touch with the writer of that episode, David X. Cohen. Now, David X. Cohen did a degree in physics and then did a master's degree in computer science and then had published papers in mathematical journals. So he was a smart guy. He loved math and he loved physics. And so he wanted to create this equation and put it on the board. So he rang up his friend, David Sheminovich, who's a professor at Columbia. They'd been at high school together. He said to David Sheminovich,
since they're mathematicians, they probably would want to predict in the same ነገሮች. Now they'll probably predict them more accurately than normal writers. That would make sense.
Yeah, background የሆነ ነገር ላይ ሲኖር everything you do, everything you say, always ያ ኮንቴክስት አለው።
Because as well, maths, physics, computers, it's all about logic, It's like solving your ነገሮች So probably want to solve some riddles, blah blah blah.
Could you concoct an equation that would somehow give the right result?
All right. I'm not going to use anecdotal evidence from just one example as a cop-out conclusion here. While Mia was working on her research, I came across something interesting.
Our distinguished panel members with us. They are award-winning writers and producers of The Simpsons. Our panelists also hold an impressive array of degrees in mathematics, computer science, and philosophy, among others.
The thing is, you could assemble a panel of other kinds of nerds from The Simpsons as well. Like there are millions of jokes about the presidents of the United States, for example. I'm looking at Patrick Verone, who's a presidential scholar. But really, there's a lot of people with different interests, and they're all trying to cram all this stuff in.
Unlike most other shows, The Simpsons writing team consists largely of writers who are extremely educated in fields ranging from mathematics to social sciences. And because of this, they're also really connected to those that are on the cutting edge. Let me play this back.
So he rang up his friend, David Sheminovich, who was a professor at Columbia. They'd been at high school together.
But they didn't just know each other from high school. Together they formed a gang of teenage computer programmers called the Glitch Masters. They even wrote their own computer language. And after studying physics at Harvard, Cohen rejected a career in academia to pursue writing. Sheminovich was just one of many connections of his in the field.
Almost
Harvard with The Simpsons manza.
like pursuing your passion rather than እንትን ገባ
ታድለው ወይኔ ታድለው
ከሁለቱም ጋር ሲኖር ከሁለት ሆነ እና
ወላጅ I'm not proud of you ሊልህ አይችልም። ከሃርቫርድ ጨርሰሃል። በቃ እና ደግሞ ሰክሰስፉል ራይተር ነው።
ከዛ ወጥተህ ከጀለሶች ጋር ላንጉጅ ጽፈን ብለምና ናይሮ ማንደስ I'll just write like being that good.
You got the math people today, but this same panel could be going on in thousands of locations at the same time on different subjects.
You know, when they came up with the equation for the Higgs boson, they could have come up with any old clutch of Greek symbols. But no, they picked genuine physical constants when combined in the right way, gave a mass of the Higgs boson that was plausible. So they sort of said, whenever we put mathematics into the show, we've got to get it right. But we'll make sure it's true, we'll make sure it's accurate.
This mindset goes beyond math for the writers of The Simpsons.
These aren't just random things. These are equations that have a lot of thought put into them before they appear on screen.
Earlier in this video, I claimed that the equation on the blackboard was precise. He was only this far off. But this amount of error on the particle level is incredibly significant. They were way off.
From a particle physics point of view, it's not a very good equation.
The content on the blackboard was put there by a writer who had a pulse on mathematics. Something that's just not in the public eye. It wasn't even a prediction. It was a corny joke poking fun at something very real and very absurd, in true satire fashion. It's a pattern, and it explains these.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run.
I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country, and if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
Trump hinted at the presidency 12 years before The Simpsons made this episode.
President Trump.
Yet again, a corny joke poking fun at something very real and very absurd. But this joke is making fun of something that's not in the public eye.
Would you ever?
Probably not.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also doesn't
he sound so professional?
Yes. እንትን ሳይጀምር ነው ሪያሊቲ ቲቪ መክሰር ምናምን ሳይጀምር ገባ
ፍራም አልሽና apprentice
by the way Trump ግን genuinely ያደንቀዋለሁ በቃ like he found something he is good at he leaned into it በቃ ይሄ እስከ ጥግ አለ አይደለ በቃ
good at
like entertainment በቃ like that's it ፕሬዝዳንት ሆኖ እኮ like purely entertainer ነበር ሌላ ምንም ነገር አልነበረም just በቃ ትሪገር ያደርጋል ግን ያኛውን ሰው ኢንተርቴን እያደረገው ነው ምናምን እንደውም የሆነ እንትን ላይ ናየሁት የሆነ ሾርትስ ላይ ነው ትዝ አለ የእንትኑ ላይ the roast of Donald Trump ትዝ ይላል አይደለ እንትና ነበረች ማን ነበረች ምናምን ዊትኒ ምናምን ያቺ አዛው
በዛች
ባለሲ
ከዛ
that's her name ዊትኒ
ባለሲ ያልኩ
no that's her real name እዚህ ጋር ጽፍላችሁ አስገባታለሁ
ነው ማንም አይደለም አላለ
like no generator አለ አይደለ coming የሚለው generator አታውቁትም for real ፎቶ አለኝ አልሰያቸዋል
it's መኪና ላይ አለ coming ዲዝል ኢንጂን
ያረዲ generator
no yes whatever ብቻ like ሙድ ያዙበት በጣም እንትን ያሉበት ነበር ልክ ባክስቴጅ ሄዱ በኋላ that was great television like you did good ምናምን አይደለም ያላት that was great television በቃ from the point of the viewer ማየት ይችላል በደንብ ገባ so like president ሲሆን
ሙርታ ያዘብኝ ምናምን
exactly from the point of the dumb American ሆኖ ያያዩ ያለው ገባ so he knows ምን ትሪገር እንደሚያደርጋቸው ምን ራይል አፕ እንደሚያደርጋቸው ምን he just has to say one thing እና በደንብ build up ስላደረገው ኢሜጁን ብቻ imagine all these actions are Raza, but he has a
pay as well.
So here's the whole truth. We can finally put it to rest. The Simpsons are not predicting the future. It's just intricate writing. I was left with the question, why? Why put all this effort in? So I got my hands dirty. I scraped the web for all of the data that I could find, and I compared it to Mia's findings. Hundreds of lines of code later, the answer revealed itself. Here's a chart of all of the accurate predictions made by The Simpsons, sorted by season. We found data that someone else collected, which I linked in the description. But using it, we found that it takes about 13 years for The Simpsons predictions to come true, on average. Wow. If you look closely, a pattern emerges. A pattern that follows the user rating of each episode. The show is a
side note እንደዚህ ነገር በጣም ኤክሳይት ያደርገኛል
ዳታ
ብቻ ሲሆን good shit visual accurate የሆነ
satire on American culture. They're making fun of us. That's kind of the whole point, right? Good writing is socially, politically, scientifically aware. The writers want this. Not only is it more fun for them, but it makes the show more interesting for us. At least, according to IMDb. Here's my final case. It looks messy, but stick with me. Each of these lines is one writer for The Simpsons. Some only wrote one season, and they never came back. Others wrote, and they took a break for several seasons, but they returned. In his book, The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets, Simon includes a list of some of the writers with extensive degrees.
Mathematics, Harvard, Mathematics, Berkeley, Physics, Harvard, Computer, Berkeley, Harvard, Applied Mathematics, Physics, PhD, Computer Science, Princeton.
Simon includes a list of some of the writers with extensive degrees. What do you think? Do the predictions mostly happen when these writers are around?
One of the things about jokes and probably philosophy and perhaps math is that once you're done with them, they seem like they were obvious all along.
Wow.
A 2001 episode involved Homer attempting to prevent his local baseball team, the Isotopes, from moving to Albuquerque. 2 years later, the Albuquerque minor league team was named the Isotopes. The town held a vote to determine the name of the team. The team president even admitted that the name came from the series. Our explanation is not a catch-all. There's a few unique exceptions here. Laws of statistics are weird, and they can make some truly absurd coincidences happen. New York City has a population of around 9 million people, and with that many people, a 1 in a million event should happen 9 times a day there. As always, there's room for disagreement. I hope I made a compelling argument. I really did feel a little bit silly making this video, but I posted a promo for it, and after seeing some of the comments that came out, I was genuinely concerned. Conspiracy theories can be a real problem, and seeing them proliferate, it's not something that I love. I don't fault people for mistaking complexity for conspiracy, especially because conspiracies can be fun, but often the truth can be even better. Thanks for watching.
Very nice. But one last thing,
Literally his first video.
It's like how our brain is wired is literally like survival like one of the most things humans evolve ያደረጉት is pattern recognition. እና ዝም ብለህ like ዳመና ፊት የሚታይ ምናምን ነገር አለ ሰው just ያለፈውን ነገር እያየ just ሴንስ የማይሰጠው ነገር just brain just ከነጭራሹ እንደ ዳታ አይቆጥረውም ግን ያሉትን ነገሮች ግን just squeeze አድርጎ just sense እንዲሰጠው ያደርጋል.
Like to be honest, it's like our brain space አያጣም ለምናየው ነገር. It's like it's not limited በሆነ ነገር.
Exactly.
So, whatever you're seeing, it's always be የገባ ስቶሪ እየተደረገ you just can't access ቢለው ነገር.
Exactly. So ለውን ነገር ሲፈለግና accurate ነው
እንዴ ሬት ነው ማቀው በቃ
ዴጃ vu ነው ባህል
hindsight is 2020 በቃ ያለፈ ነገር clear ሆኖ ስለሚታይ just
not really እንጂ
hindsight is 2020 but no I should have done this I should have done that ቢለው ነገር ማለት ነው. like ያለፈው ነገር ትዝ ይላል በደንብ ሳይሆን it's easier to judge
better
የድሮ ነገር judge ማድረግ ይቀልሃል because you're not in it በቦታው የለህም
በዛ ላይ ደግሞ
and easier ይመስላል ካለህ በኋላ literally ያለው ነገር
ይሄ ለምሳሌ በመጽሐፍ ኦር በምናምን happen አድርጎ ያለፉ ነገር ቢሆን ዝም ብለህ ወይ
በቲቪ ሞል
ልክ እንደ ይሄ ኮቪድ
ቪዥዋል ፓተርን
ኮቪድ ነገር ሰው ፈልጎ አግኝቶ ነው። ይሄኛው ግን የሆነ የ2001 ኤፒሶድ ዝም ብለህ ዛሬ ልከፍት ትችላለህ ሶ የሆነ እንዴ ይሄ ነገር እኮ ኤግዛክትሊ ይሄ ያለው ነገር ይመሳሰላል አሁን ካለው ነገር ጋር
ቪዥዋሊ
ልታያይዘው ትችላለህ
ዝም ብለህ እንትን ትላለህ
you know what's funny አመኑ እኮ ታውቃለህ
እነ
ፋውቺ አሁን
ምን ብለው
that it was made in Wuhan.
Lab?
Like how many years later?
WHO ko ane ከመጀመር
No, Fauci literally paid off like 9 million, 5 million ምናምን grant እየሰጣቸው ጀለሶቹን like email ልከውለት ምናምን ይሄ ነገር እኮ it doesn't seem like it's been made.
ግን እሱም ነገር ግን ስታስብ okay again
ሹሽ ተባለ
ሌላ ነገር ልንገባ ነው ግን
አሁን literally ያለው ነገር conspiracy ይሄንን explain ያደርግ ሌላ ቪዲዮ እናያለን
conspiracy ስለ COVID-19 okay ግን ባን ነው የምንደረገው ወይ ፋውቺ 5 ሚሊዮን ይከፍልሻል
let's do that baby like share subscribe
ብቻ ከተመቻችሁ ላይክ አድርጉ ሰብስክራይብ
የዛሬው ትንሽ ቪዲዮ ሪአክሽን ሳይሆን
ማየት
አብረን
ፕላስ ትንሽ ሀሳባችን
ኑ አብረን በሚል እንትን ቀይረዋል
thank you so much ከኛ ጋር ስለሆናችሁ ምን ያህል ትንሽ ብትሆኑም ዛሬ እናመሰግናለን እንወዳችኋለን
bye peace it's 3:05 Miami